Wisconsin Broadcasters Association Hall of Famer Bob Berry ruled Milwaukee's airwaves in the 60s and 70s. He spoke with countless musicians and celebrities over the years. Bob collected remarkable recordings of these encounters, which he's now sharing with the public. Here's Bob.
Oh, Pancho. Oh, Cisco.
Duncan Renaldo was best known for portraying the Cisco Kid in the movies and on television in the 50s. He appeared in the films Spawn of the North with Henry Fonda and For Whom the Bell Tolls with Gary Cooper and Ingrid Bergman. Renaldo was also a producer, director, and writer. He has a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame and is pictured with the band War on their 1974 album, War Live, which includes the group's hit record, The Cisco Kid.
Hello?
Hello, Duncan Renaldo.
Begin.
Is that you, Cisco?
That's right. How are you?
Okay. This is Bob Berry.
Hello, Bob. Good to meet you over the telephone.
Well, this is a pleasure to meet you. You don't know how many hours I spent in front of the television watching Cisco Kid and Pancho. And, of course, you came to a galloping success in the early 1950s. And I thought maybe you were sitting back and relaxing, but I heard you're not.
Oh, no, I'm busy as a dickens. Just lately, I illustrated the book with drawings, a poetry book for Mr. Price from... By the way, he was in Milwaukee. He's a Milwaukee boy.
That's what I heard. He worked for AC Sparkplug here.
That's right. He was in charge of the defense sales for General Motors, and this guy wrote the most beautiful poetry you ever read in your life.
What is the name of the book?
Drifter's Dream.
How did you get to be the Cisco Kid? Now, you were born in Spain, right?
That's right.
Did you get into illustrating for motion pictures at around that time?
Just a couple of years after I came here, I went to see if I could get a job at the studio to do any kind of work, you know. And they had a set there that was supposed to represent Havana. I had been at sea before, working at sea. So it didn't look any more like Havana than I did. It looked like a South Sea Island set mostly. And I told the director, the man that was nearby was the director. I didn't know it at the time. I told him that wasn't Cuba, it wasn't this. He said, we have architects here. I said, well, I'm sorry, but I just came from over there. It doesn't look like it at all. And a couple of days later, he called me and said, you're right. I had sketched for him what it looks like. And he gave me a job to sketch for him, sets. And I worked for $15 a week there for about 3 months.
Wow.
And in the meantime, I got a part in the pictures. It was a picture with Richard Bartholomew and Dorothy Gish, and called The Bright Shawl. So that started me off, because I played a little part in the picture, and Fitzpatrick, who had Music Master Series, saw me in that and made me play young Beethoven and Schumann and Liszt and the Music Master Series. And so that started me off.
And then television came along, and then they asked you to do the
television.
Cisco
We were all doing this Cisco Kid picture for United Artists at the time, for theatrical, when they converted them to television in 1949. We made all of these pictures in color. We made about 156 of them for television.
Wow. What do you think of television today compared to when you played the Cisco Kid?
I think it's deteriorated instead of getting better. It's a shame that these people have a most important, most wonderful means of communication through television, and they misused it. They put so damn much violence in it that, you know, in our pictures we didn't have much violence. We used to have a lot of action.
Right.
And a lot of fun, a lot of comedy. But we didn't have to kill everybody on sight like they do now. My good Lord, they've killed more people on television than actually populated the West.
That's right. I saw a figure the other day of how many killings young people see by the time they're a teenager. It's unbelievable.
Fearful. Can you imagine how it works the mind of a little child that believes everything that he sees in that box, you know?
Yeah, right.
It's a shame, because if they didn't have the material and the marvelous communication, the media is terrific. If they didn't have that, why the devil, it would be something. But they have enough material to write stories for the next 150 years about the West and never duplicate it. Once I never wanted vengeance stories because they trap you into violence. And I used to be in charge of, I was associate producer in the Cisco Kids at the beginning. And I refused all the vengeance stories on account of that. And a fellow came to me one time with a fearful vengeance story. I said, look, and I knew him very well. I said, John, this is not the kind of a story I need, and you know very well. Why do you bring me a thing like this? He said, well, what else can you write for Cisco Kid and Pancho? I said, write about 2 ducks, for God's sakes. He said, no, don't give me that kind of stuff. Write for 2 ducks. How can you write stories? I said, all right, I'll dare you. So I sent him down to the corner drugstore, and he got a pint of whiskey. We sat down and wrote the most marvelous little story about 2 ducks in Utah. They were Mormons. And we ended up with what a beautiful story. Pancho imitated the ducks and trapped all the bad men and all of that.
Duncan, did you have to learn to ride when you were chosen for the role of the Cisco Kid?
No, I was raised in Argentina for a little while. And I learned to ride horses down there with the gauchos.
Hmm.
And when I hadn't ridden for 20 years.
What was that famous line that you used to use on the show? What?
On the show we used to say, oh, Cisco, oh, Pancho. Pancho used to tell me a bromide didn't make any sense. And then I would laugh and then say, oh, Pancho, how could you say a thing like that, you know? And he'd say, oh, Cisco. And both of us would laugh and say, adios, amigos. And we'd ride into the sunset.
That's right.
And that's what prompted me to do these drawings for Mort Price, because his poetry is very sentimental and very beautiful, and it's rare nowadays to pick up a book of poetry like that.
Duncan, thank you very much for talking with us this morning.
Bless you. I'm so glad to talk to you, particularly when you're one of my little kids that I was a babysitter for.
Maybe we can talk to you again on your next birthday.
Thank you very much. God bless you. Keep well and keep happy.
Thank you.
If you have happiness and good health, that's your very
Oh, Pancho. Oh, Cisco.
Bob Berry. Thank you for listening to Bob Berry's Unearthed Interviews. Be sure to subscribe and rate our podcast on iTunes or wherever you find your podcasts. You can find all the episodes at WisconsinBroadcastingMuseum.org. Check out Bob Berry's book, Rock and Roll Radio Milwaukee. Book sale proceeds support Angels Kids Fund and Donate Life Wisconsin. The preceding program was made possible by a generous contribution from Terry Bond.